Good morning and happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chum Change. This is live and recorded. For those of you that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news or news in general in the space. I update myself and I bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's here in the house and then we'll get into this. Mr. Steven Cicero, good morning, sir. Good to see you. We have Andrew Masad in the house, son of a rabbit, Dom G, Carl Coach. Good to see you. Iguana Bites. We have Zed. He said, hey, Dad. I don't know if he's talking to me, but I don't see max voltage here. Snake, what's up, dude? We have Claude G, good to see you. Crypto Hunter, good morning, sir. Everybody else I may have missed, I apologize, but let's get into it. Bitcoin 59,317 bucks. Hadouken to Bitcoin for coming back because it wasn't like 57 yesterday if I'm not mistaken. Ethereum 2322, not looking too bad. Ethereum's actually been quite disappointing this year, but could always be worse. Could always be worse. Solana $133. We get XRP at 58 cents. ADA's at 33 cents still. We got LTC at 62.80. Caspa, look at Caspa holding up over 17 cents. Hadouken to Caspa. Perfect. Hell yeah. Near Protocol up $4.10, or up to $4.10, up 3.08% rather. We have ETC up to 17.89. Nice. Sui looks like it's in the deep green, up 5% today, almost 6%. $1.17. Nice, not too bad. Looks like Phantom's up today too, almost 10%. Damn, 56 cents. Nice. I think this is Immutable X, IMX, 5.5% to $1.33. Not too bad. Dogecoin still at 10 cents. BNB's at $543. Toncoin is at $5.45. Let's see this FLZ one. Why do I keep forgetting this name? It's up 18% today to $3. What is this called again? Fellas. That's right. That's right. It's called Fellas. Yeah, I don't know what that coin is, but it's here. It's there. It's everywhere. All right, let's see. Phantom over here seems to be the biggest earner of the day. 10.3% up today. 56 cents, as I've said previously. Celestia over here up 10.2%. $5.13. Again, IMX up 6%. This is Immutable, $1.33. Say is down 4.7%, 27 cents. HNT's down today 3.2%, $7.04. Not bad. Nothing else really jumping at me, but I'm shocked Caspa's holding. Well, you know, I'm not shocked. I thought we were gonna have some issues because I think I heard some nonsense with people losing their funds minting tokens on KRC20. So I could have swore we were gonna see a pullback. I was getting a little bit nervous. I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's holding over 17 cents. So again, Hadouken to Caspa. It's amazing. All right, let's see. Fear and Greed Index flashbang. We got 33 on the Fear and Greed. Not too bad. Could be worse. It was actually 33 last week. It was 39 yesterday. Now it's 33. I mean, I'm assuming it's because Bitcoin went down to 57 or whatever yesterday. Yesterday was pretty rough for crypto all around. Everything was pretty much in the red. But hey, listen, things come back pretty quick, I guess. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, XRP, Lado staked Ether, Dogecoin, and Toncoin in 10th place at a $13.8 billion market cap. We got Troncoin in 11th place. Cardano is still in 12th at $11.9 billion market cap. Cardano, man, what's going on? We need to get some movement in price here, but again, I still think Cardano's stupid cheap. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's been around a few bull cycles. We have Litecoin in 24th place. Let's see, Near Protocol is in 25th, and Caspa is in 26th place still at a $4.2 billion market cap. Nice. Where's Render at? Render 46th place over here. They changed the ticker from RNDR to actually the name of it, Render. I don't know if you guys got that email from Coinbase, but there was like you guys got to switch your tokens or some shit. I just sold all mine and I'll buy back in later. That was the easiest way to do it. Crypto KJ, what's up, dude? Not James, good morning. What time of the day do they normally announce the Fed BS? Is it after the market closes? Honestly, I'm not sure. I forget, to be honest. I don't know. I usually cover it the next day, so I'm not like jumping on that stuff right away. But I thought it was like, yeah, I think it's at the end of the day. I think you're right. In the afternoon-ish or so. I'm not sure, but if anybody knows, please let me know when they usually do that stuff. Yeah, guys, that's really it there. All right, let's move on to the mining segment of things. Let's see what we're looking like over here for the top miners of the day. AL1 Pro, again, Bitmain's a lithium miner over here, 16.6 terahashes, 96.58 a day. It's crazy. It's crazy that these things were projected to make over $1,000 a day when they were first listed, and now they're a tenth of that. And the amount of money people have spent on these units, it's so freaking, like, I hope people get their money back, man. It's crazy because our Ice River drops this 15 terahash unit over here, making $86 a day, almost $87 a day, and they dropped it for like 12k, and these ones are like 40. It's insane. I feel so bad, but what are you gonna do? The Dragon Ball Miner A11 over here, we got 3.2 terahash unit on Radiant, $60.35 a day. How's Radiant doing actually? Let's see. Radiant RXD. This is one coin I've never held. Never mind. Never even. Yeah, I just haven't cared about it at all. It is 1/10 of a penny though. These, see, like these coins, this market cap is only 18 million. That's not a lot. Like these definitely have the potential to jump, in my opinion, like 2, 3, 4x easily, 10x easily, right? But I don't know. I don't really know anything about Radiant, so I can't really speak on it, but it's just low market cap coins like that have like push from the big companies. They can inject some money into these coins to make them pump, to make you guys see these miners are super profitable, right? That's kind of where I'm at. Let's see. I hit a Caspa block at 3 a.m. 97 Caspa. Normal block reward pre KRC 20 was about 86. Nice, dude. Steven Cicero. That's awesome. Good for you.
Perfect.
Good for you. That's awesome. Mr. All Set, smash the like. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for that. Let's see. All right, the gold shell EAL1M. What do we got over here? 4.4 terahashes on a lithium, $23.65 a day. I forget how much this thing was, but yeah, I can't remember if it was worth it. I don't think it was. Let's scroll down a little bit. Actually, you know what? Caspa Miners here. KS5 Pro 21 terahash unit is actually still up here, $23.43 a day as of now. I think these things went on sale too. I don't know if it was the original KS5, but I think they were like $2,000. Hold on. Was it on Ice River's website? Code CHUMP if you guys want some money off your units. But damn, dude. Oh, the KS5L, $19.99. That's what it was. KS5L. KS5L. 12 terahash unit. $10 a day. $10 a day. Yeah, see, I don't know. It's like, I feel like that's really cheap for these units. But at the same time, the KS5M 15 terahash units, 32. I don't think it's worth buying Caspa miners. I would rather just see you guys buy the coin if you believe in it. Do you know what I mean? Instead of sticking your neck out. It just doesn't really make much sense. I don't know. What's up, Trade Like Snipe? Good to see you, buddy. We have Alpha Packs DG1. Let's see, 14 gigahashes over here. This is the Doge and Litecoin miner. $11.37 a day. Not too bad. That could be worse, right? I think you can merge my bells with this one too. The Antminer L9 actually, $15.68 a day. That's a 16 gigahash unit. Again, Dogecoin, Litecoin, not too bad. I still want to see one of those in action. I haven't heard of anybody getting one. So if you have one, please let me know. We got the Bitmain Antminer L7 9050. You guys know I got this thing down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them if you're interested in hosting. Links in the description. But I'm paying 10 cents per kilowatt hour down there, and after that I get $5.21 profit versus, you know, paying 30 cents up here where I live and making like nothing on that thing. The Gold Shell Ale Box 2. Damn, that makes less than that. That makes the same amount of money as my L7 now. Wow. This is the AL2 Plus. This is the new one, the 1 terahash unit, 480 watts, $5.21 a day. Damn. How's the lithium looking? Actually up today. $1.71. 2.4% up today. Man, that's crazy. Strange. I think I'm more shocked that it's like it's under the L7. Anyways, all right, the RXO Ice River. Ooh, I have a good video for you guys today. Hopefully. Well, I'm not dropping it today. I got to record it today. Did you know you can make these things Wi-Fi? By the way, did anybody know that you can make KS zeros, and the RX zeros, and the AL zeros Wi-Fi? Pretty neat. I found a little tool, and I'm kind of excited to use it. So we're gonna be making a video on that today. I got a new AL0 in the mail from I think Yes Mining. I think that's the place. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. So I'll show you guys how to do it. It's pretty cool. It was like 25 bucks too. All right, let's see. KS3 ice server 8 terahash unit over here, $4.13 a day. See, like, bruh, that kind of sucks. I mean, it's still money, but it kind of sucks. The AL box 2, 720 gigahashes, dude. This thing's only making $3.71 a day. God damn. Gold shell AL box, the original AL box, only making $1.86 a day. And the ice server ALO over here, or AL0. I always call it ALO. I don't know why. $2.30 a day. Crazy. Crazy. Fully electric told me, Mr. Crypto KJ. He told me a while ago though. I just ordered one and I finally got one. Snake, get the fuck out of here. Trying to steal the thunder, right? Get out of here. You are a snake. Bruh. I'm just kidding. It's pretty cool though. It works good. All right, yeah, that's really it, man. The KS0 is actually KS0 Pro, 6 cents a day. All right, at least it's still profitable because this thing was negative like 2 cents the other day. The KS1's really taking a shit though, 4 cents. Crazy. KRC20 definitely helped a bit. Let's go to the S19K. I want to see where I'm at today. Probably negative still. Definitely negative still. Oh, 75 cents negative a day on this thing. I'm still solo mining BCH and I have not hit a block. It's almost been a month. 2 more days, it'll be a month, and I'll be probably switching gears. Yeah, I think I'll have to switch gears after that. All right, moving on. GPUs, let's see. We got Pyron top of the charts here. I guess they did an algo change, by the way, like V2 or something. I don't even know. I don't know much about it. I haven't mined with GPUs in probably 2 months, 3 months. But Pyron, Carlson and Pyron seem to be the top of the charts all the way across the board for the 40 series. 3080, BlockX, and Pyron. Carlson, Pyron, same thing. Xano. Yeah, so you got those 4 coins to choose from. Conflux here a little bit. We got Chlor and Raven on the 90HX. If anybody's got those. Zealous finally peeking its head through the door. And the A2000s, nice. Yeah, so you guys really don't got much to choose from today. Got a few things though. Not too bad, could be worse. Lithium's hash rate, flashbang, sorry. Didn't mean to do that to you guys, but I kind of did it at the same time. 11.16 petahashes on this network as of right now. Not too bad. Could be worse. It's probably gonna get worse. It's definitely gonna get worse. All right, let's move on to the news segment of things. I want to see what they got to say about this, what the Fed's interest rate cut means for the bond market. Let's see what they got to say over here on Yahoo Finance. Let's do it.
Markets are on edge ahead of the Fed decision Wednesday, and that includes bonds. The 10-year yield edging lower as bets on a 50 basis point cut keep rising. Joining us now is Guy Labat, Janie Montgomery Scott, head of fixed income. So we were just talking about it. The big debate right now, 25, 50. When it comes to the bond market, does it matter the size of Wednesday's cut?
Tonto Bong Ronto, good to see you, buddy. Any Dynex news? I haven't heard of any. If anybody has any, please throw it in the chat. But I haven't read their Discord today.
Well, to some degree, right?
Oh,
you know, the action, or what we're going to see on Wednesday afternoon, is just one FOMC meeting. But depending on how it's framed, it also casts the next few meetings in its path as well. So for sake of argument, right, we could see a Federal Reserve which comes out with a 25 basis point rate cut, but emphasizes the possibility, maybe even the probability, that over time they could cut at a more accelerated pace. I don't think those are the exact words they would use. But were that to happen, right, we'd see, okay, this one rate cut done perhaps on the hawkish side, but the future would end up pricing each additional FOMC meeting with a roughly 50-50 chance of 25 basis points or 50 basis points. And it would end up being a dovish 25 as opposed to a hawkish 50 in which there's a cut and a more gradual expected path.
Guy, another question. We were just talking to our colleague Josh Schaefer about this. The odds of 25 and 50 were pretty evenly balanced, and now actually a shift to 50. Why that shift, Guy? What changed? I know there were some high-profile press reports, but walk me through why you think that occurred.
Yeah, so I heard you talking about the couple of press reports that were on Friday from the Journal and also the Financial Times. Of course, read those. I will say that in comparison to situations several years ago, in which Fed officials were concertedly making a point to these publications, the language in the two press reports last Friday seemed a lot softer. It seemed a lot more, it could be this or it could be that. It didn't seem like language that in 2022 and 2023, when the Fed was prepping markets for supersized rate hikes, that message that they were signaling, that was a much more aggressive tone in the press reports. So I don't think there's really all that much there beyond preparing for that possibility. One thing I think that is understated in this circumstance is that there's a certain momentum to short-term trading. And it only really requires a few basis points or a few large-sized trades to skew the odds of a 25 or a 50 basis point rate hike at a meeting in the very near term. So I think probably what you're seeing is more momentum rather than aggressive positioning ahead of a 50 or a 25 basis point cut for next Wednesday.
And you say the U.S. is likely to have a very normal Fed rate cutting cycle. What's normal in your view? Because we've been operating in an environment that feels very not normal.
Yeah, I mean, look, the last rate cutting cycle was amidst a global pandemic. And, many of us were concerned about our own personal lives at that time for obvious reason. And the financial wheels were coming off the bus in real time. At that time, there were extraordinary measures taking place. But there have been a long history dating back well prior to the global financial crisis of normal rate cut cycles, in which the Federal Reserve, after reaching some peak and inflation decelerating, begins to lower rates. Unfortunately, many of those cycles end in an economic downturn. I'm not convinced that's going to happen this time. There's certainly a chance, but I'm not convinced it's going to happen. Typically, in mid-cycle corrections, the three that at least the Federal Reserve has successfully implemented in 95, in 97, 98, and again in 2019, have been a series of 3 rate cuts, each of them 25 basis points, and then a pause. Now, I think today we start in a circumstance in which we're much further away from neutral interest rates than in any of those periods. So more likely than 3, we get 4 or 5. But so long as economic growth holds up, if we get 4 or 5 25 basis point rate cuts in the next 2 to 3 quarters, that's a pretty healthy situation. I think it frankly sets the opportunity for a leg higher in risk assets like equities on the other side of that.
Can I ask you a different question as we head into this meeting, Guy? I'm also curious what you make of the Fed's credibility here. It did get dinged. I'm wondering if you think there's been an improvement there. What grade you would give the Fed?
Well, I'm not a professor, so I don't grade them. But I will say that I think academics talk about credibility very differently from sort of the financial media. So academics would talk about credibility as whether when the Fed says they're going to do something, do they do it? Does it affect markets? And is the result of that roughly what they expect? That's very different from the sort of popular perception of Fed credibility, which is, are they right in their forecasts? And there have been numerous times in the last few years in which the Fed's primary forecast, as distributed in the summary economic projections, the dot plots, was not right. And that's going to be the case with any economic forecast for sure. But in terms of whether the Fed has control over the interest rate markets when they need it, whether they follow through with the actions that they say they're going to take in a concrete way, they have absolute credibility in that sense.
And Guy, there's been a continuous expectation that the Fed is going to cut interest rates, which is part of the reason why we saw the yield curve uninvert. We talk about the yield curve all the time, whether or not it indicates a recession or not. Since this easing cycle is expected to begin on Wednesday, what are your expectations for the yield curve moving forward, and how should we really look at and analyze those moves?
Yeah, so at the beginning of this year, really the end of last year, in our 24 outlook, I published a comment that haunts me a touch, I will say, that I had greater confidence that the yield curve would steepen towards the middle to end of 2024 than I did in the level of interest rates presented in those forecasts. Well, it took a long, long time, but we do look like we're in a little bit of a steepening trend here. Based on how far the front end of the yield curve, call it the 2-year portion of the yield curve, has fallen, any more steepening from here realistically is going to require 10-year yields or the longer portion of the yield curve to rise. And that only really comes alongside a little bit of a reflationary impulse. I don't mean that in terms of inflation, but in terms of growth expectations. So we could get that in the form of greater productivity gains over time, and essentially what's been popularly termed a soft landing, or the avoidance of an economic downturn in 2025. And so I think that's really the next stage of yield curve steepening, is about long rates moving somewhat higher from here.
Well, we'll see what happens on.
Interesting. All right, shout out to Yahoo Finance for that. Moving on back to Yahoo Finance. Investors uncertain of big capex spending on AI. Let's see what they got to say over here.
Big tech companies are investing millions on artificial intelligence, but it's still unclear when investors will see the return on that investment. And chip stocks have been taken along on a wild ride as a result. For more, we're bringing in Ruben Roy, applied technology analyst at Stifel. And Ruben, we know these big tech giants, these hyperscalers, they're aggressively spending on AI, but we've also seen the volatile swings these past few months. So from an investor perspective, what are the biggest concerns that you're hearing from your clients?
Hi, thank you for having me. Certainly, I would say the number one question we're getting is this investor debate around, as you said, all of this investment that we've seen now going on, I guess, 2 years relative to ROI or returns on the infrastructure investment. Where's the beef, or where's the money on some of the infrastructure that's being built out? So from an investor perspective, it certainly seems like there are concerns as we look ahead to 2025 as to the sustainability of the CapEx spending from the big cloud service providers, whether or not investment spending will extend into Fortune 500 enterprise, and what's next for the big suppliers of hardware into the investment cycle, like NVIDIA, for instance. And so certainly that's top of mind for investors, and it's been reflected in the volatility, as you mentioned, in the stock. NVIDIA underperforming the S&P 500 over the last 3 months, but certainly having a very strong year to date, nonetheless.
Top of mind for those NVIDIA investors, Ruben, also is what demand looks like for that new Blackwell chip. What are your checks suggesting there?
The checks have been solid, and it's not just Blackwell. There were a lot of concerns heading into NVIDIA's quarterly report late August around timing of Blackwell, whether or not NVIDIA was having some technical difficulties with Blackwell. But certainly coming out of that report, certainly I would think would ease some investor concerns. The numbers were solid with a nice beat for the July quarter and a nice raise relative to consensus expectations for the October quarter. And Blackwell hasn't started shipping yet. I mean, we're talking still about a lot of demand for the existing Hopper architecture. And if you kind of look through and speak to the supply chain, or look at some of the supply chain commentary, certainly it would sound like demand continues to far outpace supply. And so when we look at 2025, I think something that investors should take into consideration is that Blackwell is not one product. It's not a GPU. It's a lot of different configurations of systems that NVIDIA is going to be selling into a lot of different types of AI infrastructure builds. I would say one thing that's really becoming evident, we saw OpenAI unveil their O1 LLM over the weekend, is that the size of the AI clusters is moving higher. And I think that that's really, really interesting as you think about NVIDIA's positioning in AI, not just, like I said, GPUs, but system software and the overall infrastructure that's required for AI.
So Blackwell demand strong, but I do want to go back to a point you made earlier that investors are concerned about the sustainability of this spending from these big tech players. Are there any signs that investors can look out for ahead of NVIDIA earnings when you're looking at that demand picture and whether there is a slowdown of spending?
Certainly in this type of spending and the rate at which spending has been growing, which we've never seen in covering the space for in excess of 20 years, it's not sustainable for, forever, right? So at some point there will be digestion periods ahead. What are some signs that investors can look for, or, signs of progress for the AI infrastructure vendors like an NVIDIA? Is that in our view, we haven't even really broached I think the extent to which AI is going to impact a lot of different industries. We're building out these training clusters, and we're putting into place large language models. But I think there's a long tail investment cycle coming beyond this, which is going to take the data that's being generated by the language models and then actually doing something with that data. So the so-called training of models, moving to inference of those models and putting that data to work. And I think NVIDIA and others, we cover AMD, which we like very much, are building infrastructure around their hardware. So adding a lot of different types of software resources to their hardware to get ready for that longer tailed investment cycle. And so while the numbers may not continue to grow at the rates that we've seen, it's going to be interesting to us to see where the spend is going to flow, right? Is it going to flow into some areas of software that NVIDIA is expanding into? Is it going to flow into other areas of hardware that we haven't seen yet? We'd like to think about AI at the edge, AI moving into things like personal computers, mobile handsets, even automobiles. And so I think, we're going to see a lot of these companies expand their approach to AI to address a lot of these end markets and benefit as the spend moves around from, again, what we're seeing today, which is the core infrastructure around large language models.
Nice. Shout out to Yahoo Finance. All right. CNBC television, money flowing out of tech is finding its way into rate sensitive areas. Let's see what they got to say over here. Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out.
Dow gaining nearly 230 points to close at a new record. The S&P notching its sixth straight day of gains, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq fell 0.5%. 93 stocks, or nearly 20% of the S&P, hitting 52-week highs today, including a number of all-time highs in rate-sensitive housing plays like D.R. Horton, Lennar, and Pulte Group. All this ahead of Wednesday's Fed decision, where markets are pricing in a more than 60% likelihood of a 50 basis point rate cut. For more, let's bring in a Texas lead portfolio strategist, Jack Genesiewicz. Jack, great to see you.
Real quick.
It's a fucking goat.
Good morning, Mr. Geek of all trades.
Well, thanks for having me.
So which camp are you in, 25 or 50? Because 50 is getting more crowded these days.
Yeah, we're in that crowded camp. We're in the 50 camp.
And so there was a concern initially that a 50 basis point cut would send a bad signal to the market that the economy is actually worse than expected. You don't think that's the case anymore? It's now accepted and it would be fine.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of an overblown concern, because when we take a look at really some of the peripheral data, whether it be retail sales, look at credit card spending coming from the banks, whether it's Bank of America or JP Morgan, looking at layoffs, they're just not happening. And all of this still, I think, points to the fact that we're cutting rates simply because inflation's down, not because we're about to basically roll into a recession.
JJ, it's Tim. Thanks for joining us. So I guess the bottom line is, if we've got 242 basis points of Fed funds cuts to the end of next year, if the Fed actually ends up doing that, isn't that bad for the economy? And are equities mispriced here, or bonds mispriced? And I do mean treasuries. I don't mean credit.
100% agree. And I think our base case is something along the lines of what we saw back in 1994, right? A mid-cycle adjustment. And any sort of mid-cycle adjustment, I think, would lead us to certainly some rate cuts in here. But if you're looking going out to something like close to 200 basis points plus, you're certainly not pricing in a soft landing at that point. So 100% agree. Our base case for a soft landing, and if we get to 200, we're probably a little bit more trouble than what we're thinking about.
Mr. Genesiewicz,
you guys think we're going to get over 50 or just 50? What do you think? It's at a 63% right now. It's a 50 basis point cut. I heard somebody say something about 75, but I don't know.
we try not to play politics here, but this will be politicized if they go 50. I saw Richard Fisher on Squawk Box last week. One of the reasons he didn't think they would go is because of exactly that. One side is going to say, you're trying to help the other side. Is there any...
That's what it was. It was Elizabeth Warren saying 75. That's what it was. I heard that this morning. I laughed. Crypto Michael said less than 50. Interesting. Good morning, Sarah Pools. Good to see you.
Any semblance of... I mean, is there any truth to that idea, or did they even think about that, do you think?
Listen, the Fed is always going to be the punching bag, whether it be for the economy or for the elections. They're always going to get the short end of the stick here. But I think from a rate cutting perspective, if you really wanted to influence the elections, you should have been cutting basically at the beginning of the year. By the time those rate cuts work their way into the system, you want to see the economy starting to reaccelerate. That's the time to do that. So I think those political accusations are a little bit misguided. And the Fed's pretty much an easy target for any of this stuff.
So
yeah, Jim C, I agree. He said, I really hate how crypto has crept and consumed onto traditional markets. Yeah, as soon as we allowed, or the ETF was allowed to be, come to fruition, the Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETF, it's unfortunate. That's how things are going to be from now on,
We ran through the sectors that were acting well in anticipation of whatever size rate cut there is in store for us on Wednesday, Jack. And yet, and that may look like a good reading of the economy. And yet you also have what one of our traders last week called the face of fear market, which is you focus in on the record highs seen in gold and utilities and all these defensive sectors. How do you read the market message right now?
Yeah, that might be leather. I'm not sure. Andrew Masad. But yeah, no, it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword, right? Like, we need to get big money investors in, like new big money investors. They want stability to a point, right? And that's what the traditional market's going to provide. So we kind of centralize the decentralized part of the world, which Kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
I still think we're getting into what's called the growth scare, right? I think when you see some of the defensive names starting to really do a little bit better more recently, some of the economic data has been more on the soft side. Yeah, it makes sense to maybe price in a little bit of that concern. We would really call that more of a slowdown, not slowing, maybe a soft patch more than a potential for a recession. But I think as we start to continue to move past the uncertainty with elections, uncertainty with regard to rate cuts, you're going to see a little bit of, a floor put in here. And if anything, we'd be looking at this as a soft patch and maybe an opportunity to actually put risk back on once we get past maybe the election drama in here.
It's Karen. Thanks for being on. I can't pronounce your last name, but JJ. I'm sure you get that a lot. Sorry.
That works.
So I am a relatively new member of the 50 basis point cut camp. I wonder, though, how much do you think is sort of priced in the market already, and how much does Powell care about what's in the market already?
Well, I think the markets, like we talked earlier, it's still, a little bit better than a coin toss for 50-50. But, I think we're going to get the messaging that's going to be very important here. What does Powell say on the press conference? What does that SEP, what do the dot plots look like? Because if you start to think about something more along the lines of 25 and the SEP is showing 100 basis points worth of cuts, you're going to have a lot of questions there. Well, if you're saying you're going to end up having to do a 50 between now and the end of the year, and you're only doing 25, why aren't you doing 50 now? So there's going to be some, I think, language and a little bit of communication that's going to have to be, threading that needle, so to speak, once the announcement comes. And, hopefully Powell can navigate that. He's done a pretty good job recently of doing that, but this one's going to be a tricky one, I think.
Interesting. And yeah, obviously, if there's more crypto news during, as the days go on, I'll obviously choose the crypto stuff over traditional stock stuff, but it's still good to get your feet wet all around, right? All right, let's go CNBC Crypto World. This was yesterday afternoon. Bitcoin retreats to 57,000 after the weekend rally. Let's see what they got to say over here, guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. I hate asking, but YouTube makes me. Let's do it.
Today, Bitcoin sinks after hitting the $60,000 mark over the weekend. Sam Bankman-Fried files an appeal to his fraud conviction. And we take a look at the Wyoming stable token, the cowboy state's push to bring blockchain payments to the masses.
Sam Bankman-Fried. Oh boy.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Cryptocurrencies are sliding back from their weekend highs. After hitting 60K, Bitcoin dropped to the $57,000 mark by noon Eastern. Ether fell to $2,200, and Solana sank to $131. Okay, let's talk about the top stories.
This looks way better than that yellow suit that she wears.
Fried is appealing his fraud conviction. Lawyers representing the former FTX founder, who's currently serving his 25-year prison sentence, argued in the appeal, filed Friday, for a reverse judgment and a new trial before a different judge. They called last year's trial a sentence first, verdict afterwards case, and said that there was a rush to judgment following the collapse of FTX. Defense attorneys also claim that the government falsely painted a narrative of insolvency, saying that creditors will be repaid by the estate, and that SBF's, quote, prescient investments in AI startup Anthropic and Solana were just illiquid and couldn't be converted to cash quick enough to meet the growing number of customer withdrawals during the FTX bank run. A jury found Bankman-Fried guilty last November.
Get the fuck out of here.
Of all 7 criminal counts against him relating to the November 2022 collapse of FTX and its sister hedge fund Alameda Research. Next, the CFTC warns that an explosion in election gambling will harm the public interest. The regulator said in a Saturday filing that market manipulation has occurred on prediction markets in the past and is likely to happen again. It includes an example of what it calls a spectacular manipulation attempt on prediction market Polymarket by a group of traders betting heavily on Vice President Kamala Harris. And this filing was submitted as part of a legal battle between prediction market Kalshi and the CFTC. It follows Kalshi's partial court victory earlier this month that reportedly would let the platform bet on U.S. elections. We reached out to Kalshi about this filing, and its founder, Tarek Mansour, said that the law is clear. These markets are legal and that they're a force for good as they help combat misinformation. We also reached out to Polymarket but didn't hear back right away. All right, let's turn to our main story. All eyes are on the Fed this week as investors wait to see if the central bank launches its first spate of rate cuts. Now, crypto investors have also been cautiously watching to see if the Federal Reserve is going to launch another initiative, a central bank digital currency. But in Wyoming, a big hub for crypto in the U.S., the state isn't waiting around for the Fed to decide. The cowboy state is in the process of developing its own stable token, hoping to bring cheaper and faster payments to retailers across the state. Crypto World's Tanea McKeel was on the ground to talk to key stakeholders to find out how the token would work.
In 2024, crypto made its biggest mainstream leap thanks to U.S. Bitcoin and Ether ETFs. But here in the state of Wyoming, the government is already pushing into the next phase of growth for crypto, payments. The Wyoming Stable Token Commission is developing what would be a state-issued stablecoin backed by the U.S. dollar, and they say it could make financial transactions cheaper and easier for its citizens and businesses.
I think success is adoption of understanding a domestic, stable coin, stable token, and having a system that's transparent, that is fully backed by our short-term treasuries, that's dollar dependent. And I think one of the big things for me is to be able to bring back onshore a lot of our debt.
ETFs make it.
Dude, that's crazy. Because we're not gonna be able to stop it. Once one happens, it's just gonna flood across every state.
Easy for investors to safely hold a regulated asset in their portfolio that gives them exposure to Bitcoin. But crypto and its underlying blockchain technology were always intended to be used for more than just price speculation.
The hope is that stable coins, or stable tokens as we call them with our Wyoming Stable Token project, will be used in everything from moving large blocks of institutional dollars from facility to facility with very minimal intervention along the way, or few intermediaries. And in a retail context, I can go down to my local coffee shop, use Wyoming Stable Tokens to buy a cup of coffee, and really avoid some of those transaction fees that are imposed using the more traditional payment rails that we have now. This would be as simple.
What? What's the difference about using Apple Pay or something, or your credit card that you could just touch? It's just as easy. You're saying the fees are better?
As pulling up a QR code on your phone or using NFC technology to tap to pay, similar to how you would at any kind of point of sale kiosk, and using Wyoming Stable Tokens instead of something like a credit card system where retailers are getting a 4 to 5% hit on the transaction cost, and perhaps you as a consumer have a 1.5% transaction cost, even sometimes where the retailer will pass on that cost to you, the consumer. Those fees for using a blockchain to accomplish that transaction can be fractions of a penny, no matter the size of the sale.
There's also a community building element to it. Officials are hoping to drive real returns for Wyoming residents.
Let's say
yeah, it's the fees the company has to pay. Yeah, right, Blake. Yeah, I mean, Bake. Sorry, I don't know why I said Blake. Yeah, that's weird though. I don't know how that. I don't know what the hell. Is that antlers? Is that like a pile of antlers? What the hell?
You go to a blockchain, you have a wallet, and you say, I want to buy a Wyoming token. You're going to put $1 in through that institutional partner. That partner reaches out to the state of Wyoming and says, hey, issue a token for me. Now you'll have it. That dollar that you transfer to the state of Wyoming is now getting put into the reserve. And the reserve account is being invested again because you need to make sure that you don't leave that money sitting in a bank account. It is invested in treasuries or reverse repos. That investment in treasury and reserve repos generates interest. That interest is what the state makes by doing this, right? Because the state is not charging you to issue that token goes to you. So the state uses that interest to not only pay for the vendors that are powered.
So you're giving them your money so they could put it in a bank account and create interest with your money.
Bruh.
That's the lady just said. So that. Jesus Christ.
That, and whatever is left, that money goes into actually the community.
The Wyoming Stable Token is in part a response to the reluctance of the Federal Reserve to create a central bank digital currency, or CBDC, at the federal level.
It is clear to me that digital assets are going to have a future. The United States has to address this issue. Washington's being a little bit stodgy, which is why Wyoming, being a nimble and entrepreneurial state, can make a difference.
According to Atlantic Council, there are more than...
Because we want to steal your money. We want to take your money. We want to make free money on top of your money, right? They want all the interest. That's so. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. That's
30 countries
Jesus
piloting
Christ.
a CBDC, including the digital euro, and 19 of the G20 countries are now in the advanced stages of developing one. CBDCs have been widely criticized due to concerns around privacy and surveillance on government-run blockchains. But Navis said that wouldn't apply here since Wyoming plans to use public blockchains, such as Ethereum or Solana, instead of private networks. The group hasn't specified exactly which networks it will use.
If they're going to be using Ethereum, there goes all your interest. You're not going to be making any money off that.
But has said it wants the coin to be available on several different platforms. Stablecoins are supposed to keep parity with an underlying asset, like the US dollar, but they can and have deviated from their peg due to a spike or drop in demand, especially with lack of liquidity, poor collateralization, regulatory crackdowns, or network congestion.
The Wyoming Stable Token will be backed with a 102% reserve, which will be comprised of cash, short duration treasuries, and repurchase agreements. We have in our statute a requirement to be only holding treasuries with a year or less to maturity, U.S. Treasury repurchase agreements with 30 days or less to maturity. So we've sufficiently, we believe that we've de-risked a Wyoming Stable Token from a depegging event with some of those actions.
The Cowboy State isn't new to pushing the boundaries of business law. In 1977, it created the LLC and has passed more than 30 pieces of crypto legislation to create a more favorable regulatory environment for businesses and investors since 2019.
It takes 3 to 5 days for someone to receive money. We have not been able to bridge that gap with traditional financial services. We have had private private entrants in this industry that have issued stable tokens that are regulated. And now the state of Wyoming is looking to do this at the public sector to
Hold on. Wyoming still using horse and buggy? No wonder they're jumping on this.
to do this at the public sector to provide another avenue for people to make choices in how they move money today.
Okay, before
Should take the money where you can.
we go, a reminder that we're awaiting the launch of World Liberty Financial, the DeFi project touted by the Trump family. We should hear more about that in a live stream this evening, and we'll bring you all the details tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Oh, shit. All right, well, look forward to tomorrow then, or this is actually later today they announce it, but we'll watch it tomorrow morning. All right, let's move on to the videos of the day. We got Altcoin Daily, is the one I want to watch. So I guess this guy's another YouTuber. I don't know. I'm not going to speed this up. I want to hear what he has to say about, I guess, just the Fed is about to blow up Bitcoin. I want to know if he thinks it's going to go positive or negative. Let's see what happens.
I think we are definitely nearing the end stages. This whole thing has, I think, exposed what really drives the market.
Does anybody else know that guy? This other guy that he's talking to?
The Federal Reserve is about to blow up the price of crypto, at least according to popular YouTuber and analyst Virtual Bacon.
Looking at the past times during the beginning of the rate cut cycles, I think the bull run will at least.
He shares some.
I feel like I've heard his name before, but I don't know him.
Wild market predictions in this video.
If we see, I'll start to take large portions off the table.
Smash the like button. If you hold Bitcoin, this is one interview that you need to see. Now, let me introduce our guest.
Oh shit, so he's got I'm not subbed to him. I've never seen his channel before. 380k subs. Interesting. I'll subscribe to him. I'll check him out later. Let's see what he's got to say.
Virtual Bacon, Dennis, you have blown up on crypto YouTube this year with your great analysis, accurate price calls, top altcoins, general macro outlook. When you speak, people listen. So before we get into some of the really juicy stuff, and make sure you watch today's whole interview, what's your take, your analysis on the crypto market so far this year?
Well, first of all, you gave me way too much credit. I really just try my best to analyze the market and give people my thoughts. So I think people are, obviously everyone and people on crypto Twitter are at extreme fear now. I think most people have been just too tired of the market over the past 6 months with the chop, and people are starting to lose hope. But I really do feel like this is the time to dial back in and take back the enthusiasm, the excitement we had in Q1 of this year and apply that now. I think that's the best strategy.
Speaking of Q1, you know, it kind of, everything got exciting earlier than usual, maybe with the BlackRock, Bitcoin ETF news and everything like that, plus the halving, plus everything. Is this cycle playing out like previous cycles, or how do you think about it?
Yeah, so obviously this cycle is heavily driven by institutions now with ETFs, with BlackRock, and especially with what we just seen with rate hikes, rate pause, and now potentially rate cuts. This whole thing has, I think, exposed what really drives the market, which is the macro liquidity. And I went back to the drawing board to look at why the cycles have been so different, 2017, 2021, and 2024. And I think what was really telling was that in the 2017 market, when we had an extended bull run lasting over a year, it was heavily correlated with the M2 global money supply growth. Throughout that period, that chart has just gone up only, and right around the time it topped, it was like February 2018 when Bitcoin topped. When you translate that to 2021 COVID cycle, it was kind of applied as well, and top was around the same time. So I think those cycles are much more obvious, not as obvious, but much more accurate. It just so happened that they tend to correlate with the Bitcoin halving. But this time, that kind of explains why we're seeing a delayed cycle where we have the halving year, but people expected the bull run to start a lot sooner. But I think it's starting a bit more delayed. Q1 2025, Q4 this year is kind of where we're seeing the true price action starting.
Interesting. So yeah, most people think of, you know, in the past 14 years of Bitcoin, most people think of, you know, the cycles revolving around the halving. And certainly, you know, it does seem like that's happened in past years, but you're saying it's more of the M2 macro money supply.
Real quick, yesterday in the video we watched with Altcoin Daily and Crypto Face from Market Cypher, He was actually saying that the end of 2025 is probably going to be where we see the most push up.
Yeah, they kind of correlate. I'm not saying like halving cycles don't play an effect. Obviously, Bitcoin gets more and more scarce. And I think especially on the halving year, we see a lot more trading volume, a lot more liquidity. And whatever type of events that are supposed to happen, like ETF speculation, et cetera, they will try to frame it around the Bitcoin halving time as well. So they have something to talk about. But I think the 4-year cycle is a bit more stretched if you all hinge it on one event happening every 4 years. I think the halving year having volatility and high volume is true, but the subsequent years after is more driven by other liquidity.
So let's talk more about, you said Q4, you're bullish, 2025, you're bullish. Take us through your thoughts on what happens within this next quarter and the next year. From a macro point of view, kind of big picture, what's your outlook?
Yeah, so Q4 this year, starting from September FOMC, hopefully Fed has cut rates and they have kept their words to the pivot. And according to CME Fed Watch, which has been very accurate, we are seeing the next 9 FOMC meetings having at least 9 rate cuts. And we're potentially seeing 1 double cut somewhere next year. So the rate cut cycles, like once they start, they keep going. They don't just randomly revert, and it goes kind of one direction only. So with that being said, the only question now left is this going to be immediately bullish effect, or will the kind of recession fear still set in and we have a non-ideal landing, like a hard landing versus a soft landing? That I don't think anyone can really predict, not even the Fed themselves know. What I do know is with the revised job numbers, we have been in a recession for at least a year. It's just not classified that way from the agencies. And I think we are definitely nearing the end stages. And looking at the past times that during the beginning of the rate cut cycles, it can take a maximum of 6 months before the S&P turns around. And about half the times when it's really bad around the recession time, 3 months and 6 months mark, the S&P was still kind of choppy. At the other half of the times, even the 3 mark already, S&P was trending up only. So I think that's kind of a toss-up, whether we will see very easy time starting in Q1 next year or right away in October. But what I do know is come March of next year, I just don't see how the market can keep bleeding like this.
With that, do you think that Bitcoin tops out somewhere near the end of next year, or how do you think about that? And then ultimately, what is your Bitcoin price prediction for 2025?
I guess I'll start with the prediction. I have always held this kind of relatively like average number of around 200K for my personal portfolio. That wraps just around to 4 to 5 trillion-ish for Bitcoin market cap, total market cap just under 10 trillion. And I think that's fair. I think for sure we will reach 100K as long as things line up and as long as, S&P recovers nicely. Like 100K is a very easy number at this point.
200, I don't know. I don't agree with that. Not at all. I don't think we're going to get that high. In 2025, you're saying 200K? I don't know.
The question is like, when do we reach that? So far, it looks like...
I mean, that's not me saying that Bitcoin can't get there, because it will eventually, but next year, no. He said 2025, right? So, I don't know.
The rate cut cycle will at least last till Q4 2025. And even with all the projections that they have made, the Fed has already released their targets by the end of 2025 for rates, and they need so many FOMCs to get there. The only question...
I mean, Cathie Wood's projecting $1 million by 2030, right? Per coin. So, I mean, it's definitely possible. Anything's possible, right? But I don't know about 200K next year.
Is will they keep cutting rates in 2026? And that kind of we don't know. So I think the bull run will at least last until end of 2025. That's why I'm taking it one step at a time. If we see, I want to give myself kind of conservative on both sides as well, time versus price. So if we see Bitcoin reaching 200K in 2025, I think that I'm happy with that. I'll start to take large portions off the table. But if we don't see that and we are kind of Q3-ish 2025, then we'll have to look at the drawing board again and figure out if liquidity injection is going to continue into 2026, then we maybe wait a bit longer. So there's a time horizon and there's a price horizon both.
But you think 200K is possible in 2025 or near 2026?
Yeah, I I'm optimistic. I think that's my average expected return.
Could be lower,
average.
could be higher.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, Virtual Bacon. What else can you impart
hope
on the
so.
altcoin daily audience? Yeah, final thoughts.
I think it just hang in there. Like even some of my audience, I've heard so many people just leaving the space, and hang in there a couple more months, and I think we can pull through and do what you need to do. Protect your psychology. Don't get mad on your bags. Just know that there are better days ahead.
I like that.
Interesting. They cut that off pretty strange, actually. All right, let's get in the recap segment of things. I don't have too much longer to go today, but 200K would be lovely. DJ Mines, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Perfect. Duke into you, sir. Let's recap things. Anybody just joining? Bitcoin, $59,167. We got Ethereum at $23.10. Solana, $132. Dead even from yesterday, it says. ADA, 33 cents. We got Litecoin at 62.62. Kaspa holding over 17 cents. So Duke into Kaspa. Perfect. Pretty awesome. I actually was expecting Kaspa to have some sort of negative retracement, I guess, because of the claims that people were losing their mints or whatever on the KRC20 stuff, but I don't know. Let me know if you guys thought the same thing. Near Protocol over here up $4 up to $4.06, up 2.27%. Sui is actually up 6.58% today to $1.17. Phantom's up as well, 8%, almost 9% actually, 55 cents. Celestia is over 9% up on the day, $5.07. Not too bad. Matic over here, 38 cents. Looking pretty good. ETC is actually $17.84. I'm hoping ETC does something. I hope. So we can start mining it again. Let's see. You're a non-believer. No, listen. I hold a lot of Kaspa. I'm hoping for it to go to the moon, but I was expecting something to not be great with that news, right? Dogecoin, 10 cents. Let's see. Jump over to Crypto Bubbles real quick. See if anything changed here. Biggest earner of the day still seems to be FTM Phantom. Again, 55 cents. Nice. Let's see. Nothing else really jumping out at me, I guess. Yeah, nothing really. Again, Sui 7% up on the day. We got Say down 4.4% on the day to 27 cents. Crazy. Yeah, not too bad. All right, Flashbang. Let's see. Crypto Fear and Greed Index is at a 33. You guys didn't see this. Again, we were there last week. So this is good. We want it to be bouncing around here. I'm assuming we're going to stay between here and neutral in the next month, right? Before the election. There's elections at the beginning of November. So who knows what's going to happen. Let's see. Soon we will have KRC 20 plus 21 fees. I don't know what that means. KRC 21? Is that what you're saying? I haven't even heard of that, to be honest. But hey, we can hope. We can hope. I hope so. I mean, listen, it made the fees better, right? Let's go to house. Let's go to Hero Miners. Let me see. Let's see how the blocks have been over here. Blocks. Let's see. Yeah, they're still pretty decent, right? 154 on this one. 140 here, 89, 87, 87. So in the 80s, right? That was where the typical block reward was before KRC 20 launched. And now we're getting like the norm plus half, I guess, right? Almost double. 165 on that one. Yeah, they're still looking pretty good. So you're still probably making a decent amount of more money, more Kaspa rather, on your units. Interesting. Lithium needs to pump, yeah. Yes, KRC 21. Dude, I haven't even heard about it. We talked about it yesterday on Twitter Spaces. It's the next step for us. Who's we? Oh, it was talked about. Sorry, I thought you said we talked about it. Was talked about. Nice. Interesting. I didn't hear it. Twitter, dude, I don't know. I can't do the Twitter thing. Twitter and Instagram, like, it's all a cesspool of fucking bullshit. I just can't. I can't do it. It just takes up too much of my life. It's crazy, but I'll have to. Is it recorded? Can I go back and listen to it? I'll go back and listen to it if I can listen to it somehow. Interesting. All right, let's see. Nothing else really crazy today, guys. Nothing. We're just waiting on the feds to drop rates tomorrow, and then yeah, everything else is looking I guess decent. Get rid of that. Yeah, nothing else. That's it. That's gonna do it. You guys have any last questions before we get out of here? NFTs KRC21. It says Douglas. Is it NFTs? Let's see. It was dry and boring, to be honest. That's all you needed to know, that NFTs are planned and coming soon. Oh, that's what it is, NFTs.
Bruh.
I can't stand NFTs. Listen, if they had a real, like, I don't know, like a real use case, it's different. Monkey pictures and like all this other bullshit. I don't know. They're gonna make a Casper logo with like feet and a face. Like, is that what's gonna happen? I don't know. I hope NFTs do well, but like, I just can't invest into them personally. It's not a smart move. NFTs in the bull run are gonna be Timmy's everywhere. Yeah, you're right. You're probably right. 1000%. Oh man. All right, guys, listen, I gotta get back to daddy duty. Gotta get these kids to school. You guys have a great, happy, and safe Tuesday. I'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 6:45, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, I'll catch you guys soon. Peace out and have a good day.
Perfect.
If she don't hawk to her, we don't talk to her.
I love titties. Perfect.
Eat shit, Gary.